Anyone who's seen the movie Limitless is bound to wish they could try NZT. The idea of unlocking your brain's full potential is so appealing to many, and the possibilities are endless. From making money, to mastering any skill, and having basically anything you want in life. This has led many to search for a real-life limitless pill, and many have been brought up, including Adderall, Prozac, a whole world of nootropics, and an industry of mental stimulants has opened up. The dictionary defines nootropic as a drug used to enhance memory or other cognitive functions. Right now, the r/nootropic Reddit community has over 300,000 members, and the market is estimated to be over $2.5 billion and expanding every year. Nootropics such as L-theanine and cordyceps have been tried by many as hopes of finding the real-life NZT, and while these drugs and supplements might have effects, as you might have guessed, nowhere near the effects that NZT would carry. I take several mental stimulants and I notice great effects for them, including chaga and lion's mane, but as you might guess, these effects pale in comparison to what NZT would be. That's because there's likely no drug to unlock your mind like that. But that's not reason to lose hope. Take the gym industry, for instance. Gym supplements right now are a $71 billion industry, whereas US gyms themselves are a $32 billion industry. I think that's such a crazy statistic because anyone can see that gyms are where the real fitness gains happen, but the supplement industry is so much bigger because people always want to search for the shortcut. Everyone wants the pill to give them six-pack abs and get them shredded. But really, in this case, there is no shortcut. Creatine and protein powder can help aid your gym muscle growth, but it's nothing without going to the gym. And might being limitless be the same way? Let's take a look at how the brain works so we can better understand how skills and knowledge are built. Now, the brain is filled with a series of neural pathways that allow different skills and abilities to flourish. The size of these pathways determines how quickly our brains can interact and carry out a skill. The amazing part of our brains is they are neuroplastic, meaning these pathways can be created and strengthened as we aged if we're actively practicing and working on these skills. And so myelin is this stuff in your brain. It's an insulating layer or sheath that forms around your neural pathways, those in the brain, and it's made up of protein and fatty substances. And this myelin sheath allows for electrical impulses to transmit quickly and efficiently along your neurotransmitting cells. And in the talent code, author Daniel Coyle explains how the one thing that builds myelin is practice or repeated activation of the neurocircuitry. As the myelin builds on your brain's nerves, these pathways become quicker, and we're able to access these skills and areas in our brain faster and more easily. And up to about 50 years of age, our myelin levels in our brain are going to continue to increase. If there was a drug we could take to increase the rate of myelin production, perhaps it can make learning skills just as easy as with NZT. But nothing like this is known to exist. There are drugs currently aiding patients with learning disabilities to develop, but these drugs are effectless on healthy individuals. Once again, in the talent code, author Daniel Coyle brings up how many of the most skilled individuals got to where they are. He brings up a lot of factors, but time spent in practice is the key one. Even most individuals we consider child geniuses and prodigies got there by spending a large amount of time in practice at a young age. It's expected that Mozart, who's considered to be a huge child prodigy, by the time he was 9 had spent 10,000 hours behind the piano, more than most students do by their 30th or 40th birthday. Coyle does introduce the idea of deep practice though, which is the ideal state to learn and develop your skills to encourage myelin production. He uses the idea of a viral video of a young student practicing a piano piece. And experts in practice went crazy over this video because for about a minute, she practices what these experts describe as deep practice, which is one of the most powerful states for learning skills by stopping at mistakes and working through them as they appear. If you're able to consistently practice in this deep practice state, perhaps you'd be able to achieve mastery with less hours than it would if you're practicing in a less efficient state of practice. While the speed of our myelin production does pose a limit to how fast we can acquire skills and knowledge, I'd argue it's not the threshold holding most of us back. And most of us are actually limited not by our brains and our myelin production, but by our mindset. Maxwell Waltz is a famous self-help author, and his book is called Psycho-Cybernetics. And this book basically became a pioneer in the self-help industry. Maltz worked as a plastic surgeon, and after completing a lot of his surgeries, he couldn't help but notice how after his patients received these plastic surgeries, they'd go back in the real world and the changes in their lives were larger than a change in just physical appearance would suggest. And he also noticed how there'd be patients that would come into his office looking for treatment, claiming to have something wrong with them, and their lives seemed to reflect that, but their face showed no physical deformities. They had a perfectly normal face, but they seemed just as affected by it. Time working as a plastic surgeon, seeing these stories, he began to develop his idea for how the brain worked, and specifically the difference between your conscious and subconscious brain. And he argued that in every person's brain, you got these two sections, your subconscious and your conscious. And your conscious brain, we as humans have the unique ability to feed goals to our subconscious. And our subconscious acts as a goal achieving mechanism where it takes these goals the conscious brain gives us and it actively goes out and gets us there. So whatever our conscious brain feeds us with enough intensity and authority, the subconscious brain will take us there. Now, the thing is that in order for something to get the subconscious brain, it goes through our self-image, and our self-image serves as a filter. So when you propose a goal, your self-image either rejects it or it accepts it. While this can be a good thing to stop you from chasing unattainable things, for most people it's limiting you in what you're really capable of. So many of us tell ourselves stories to our self-image that we can't do certain things, and our subconscious brain subconsciously is rejecting all our goals in life, all of our goals and wishes in life. When we see billionaires, uber successful people, a gut reaction of most of us is to not even think that it would be possible. But really, if we put in the same amount of work they did, it is very easily achievable as with any goal. Our brains are very similar to a lot of these super rich people. It's just a matter of they put in the work. We know myelin production works the same in 99% of the population. There's small differences, but 99% of anything is just putting in the time and effort. Most objectives in life appear harder than they actually are, as most people don't actually try to achieve them. We also put limits on the way we act and the choices we make every day. Most limits in life aren't physical limitation based on laws of physics or human capability, but on imaginary limits our mind places on us. Even laws placed by governments aren't limits. The only limit is your mind's decision to respect and obey them. I'm definitely not advocating you go out and break the law. I'm just trying to make a point here that all the things you view are limits and holding you down aren't coming from external sources, they're coming from inside your mind. Society puts pressure on us to limit ourselves in many ways, to do the typical thing that everyone else is doing, to follow a set path of going to college, entering the workforce, getting a mortgage on a house, starting a family, retiring eventually, staying in the hometown, and sticking to your comfort zone. As soon as you realize that these are just limits on your mind, the world opens up. You realize that life is not a maze, but a sandbox. There's no reason to feel stuck on any path when the options are really endless. And in my view, this is how you truly become limitless.
In every one of us is the potential to become limitless and unlock a life that's truly fulfilling and pushes us to the next level.
I'm sure you can see those few individuals around you living their limitless lives, and there's no reason to think you can't be like one of them. All they've done is remove the mental limits in their mind and realize that life is really a sandbox, and the opportunities and the outcomes are limitless.